Good afternoon. A strike by workers at DHL is about to crank up the parcel delivery anxiety for people trying to ship packages.
Workers are on the picket line today in Toronto and the GTA, and replacement workers have already appeared at one location. CTV's Mike Walker is live this hour in Brampton with more details. Mike.
Well, Nathan, Michelle, Unifor says DHL locked out its workers just after midnight Sunday after both sides failed to reach a deal. And all morning here in Brampton, striking workers have been restricting access to the facility here for non-unionized employees as well as temporary employees that the company says it's bringing in as part of its contingency plan, a move being slammed by the union. Now, more than 2,100 DHL workers across the country are on the picket lines, which includes couriers, truck drivers, warehouse and customer service employees. The union says the company added numerous proposals before Sunday's midnight deadline that it says amounted to concessions for its workers. Sticking points include wages, improving working conditions, and issues related to surveillance and automation. DHL says its contingency plan that includes replacement workers will keep packages moving. This comes as federal legislation banning replacement workers is set to come into effect on June 20th. Here's more from workers on the picket lines, as well as Unifor's national president.
We're not liking it very much, as you can see. The people are very angry. We just want to work. We want our jobs, but we want fair increases and fair work conditions.
They're dragging their heels. That's the word. That's the best I can say. They're just dragging their heels. I don't think their willingness to bargain is genuine, to be honest.
The fact that DHL has decided to use replacement labor in this dispute, knowing that every single member of our parliament voted in favor of this new law to support fair and free collective bargaining, is just outrageous by this global corporation, and our union will not stand for it.
Now here's a live look now as another bus arrives at the facility here in Brampton, where more employees coming to work. We understand this is a mix of non-unionized employees and potentially some temporary workers. And what's happening here is that the workers on the picket line are limiting one to walk into the facility at a time about every 10 minutes or so. Now, for its part, DHL says its offer includes a 15% wage increase over 5 years. And as for the temporary workers, the company says its actions are fully compliant with current legislation. At this point, there hasn't been a date set to return to negotiations. Reporting live in Brampton, I'm Mike Walker. Michelle, back to you.
Thank you, Mike. And still to come on CTV News at noon, the Prime Minister says Canada will hit the 2% of GDP target for defense spending 5 years ahead of schedule. It's a move that will cost billions. We'll have all the details just ahead. But first, look at this. It is another hazy day in the city of Toronto. If you can tell that this is Toronto, this is due in part to the smoke from the wildfires out west lingering over the city. Air quality in Toronto is low to moderate risk. This is according to the Environment Canada Air Quality Index.
And we do have more news in a moment, but first here's, well, we had a live look at the city. Not too bad overall, but still there's concern about the air quality, also a chance of showers. Lindsay Morrison is here with a look at the current conditions. Hey, Lindsay.
Well, Nathan, we do have some showers moving in right now, and that could help clear some of the air. That would be a good thing. Right now it is raining around Hamilton, Burlington, Oakville, Mississauga, extending into Malton and even King City. Downtown Toronto, the closer you get to the shoreline of Lake Ontario, and then in through parts of Durham region and in through Clarington. This system is really just going to skirt us here in southern Ontario, with the Niagara region seeing the bulk of the precipitation this afternoon. We do have winds coming out of the south. They're not overly strong right now. We've just climbed to 20 degrees, and that's pretty well where we are expected to be through this afternoon. Factor in the humidity, it's going to feel more like 25. And in addition to some wet weather this afternoon, we're also monitoring for the risk of a thunderstorm. The evening looks a little drier. We're going to take you through the forecast for the week ahead coming up. For now, though, I'll send it back to you.
All right. Thank you, Lindsay. Toronto police are trying to piece together what happened in a shooting that killed a 15-year-old boy over the weekend.
The boy was shot outside a home in the area of Jane Street and Weston Road Saturday night. CTV's Allison Hurst reports.
Police dust for evidence, combing through a large crime scene that circles several residential blocks and York Humber High School.
I just heard 5 gunshots. That's pretty much it. It was like tuck, 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 tuck. It was like, was steady though, steady.
It happened right outside this man's home near Jane Street and Weston Road.
I see some people screaming and running away. It was heartbreaking, to see in this area. I've never seen this before. To hear young people shooting around is terrible. I feel sorry for their families.
The shots were fired shortly after 10.
My girlfriend heard someone say, just call 911, right? So we assumed something, we heard some screaming.
Toronto police say a teenager was shot. He was pronounced dead in hospital.
I do not have any suspect information to provide at this time.
Police say the suspect fled the area. They did not confirm how many suspects there are or if they fled on foot or in a vehicle.
We want to assure the public that we are dedicating all necessary resources to this investigation to find those responsible.
Local crime prevention advocate Sharon Joseph says more needs to be done.
We need to have more mentorship for these young people. We know that there's a crisis, but we only, come when the crisis is happening, when it's active. After the crisis, everybody go back to normalcy.
Residents here are still reeling from what happened on their doorsteps.
I'm kind of scared, especially when I see some police officer knocking at the door all the time.
And hope whoever did this is found soon. Toronto police remain tight-lipped on their investigation and have not confirmed to us whether or not this was a targeted shooting. They say the suspect or suspects remain at large. Allison Hurst, CTV News.
There's been a 2-alarm fire in the Beaches with several homes damaged. It happened just after 10 o'clock last night near Queen and Wheeler Avenue, just east of Woodbine. There were reports of 3 homes on fire. No injuries have been reported. An investigation into the cause is underway, but officials indicate it could have been electrical as wires were on fire. More than 1,500 homes in the area lost power as well. Well, the streets of L.A. are quiet this morning after a weekend of violent protests.
The National Guard was deployed after days of protests against a crackdown by the Trump administration on immigration. CTV's Rahim Ladani joins us now live with the latest in the situation. Rahim.
Well, Michelle and Nathan, California's governor says he plans to file a lawsuit today against the president's decision to activate the National Guard. Their arrival spurred anger and fear among many residents, leading to the third and most intense day of demonstrations. A scooter thrown from the overpass and cars lit on fire as protesters shut down this busy freeway in Los Angeles. In response, police firing flashbangs, rubber bullets, and tear gas to disperse the crowds. The violence escalating after U.S. President Donald Trump deployed the National Guard.
They're just making it worse. It's just making us not trust our own government.
Hundreds of National Guard members were on the ground Sunday after Trump ordered them to put an end to what he believes is a rebellion against the U.S. government and his immigration crackdown.
We're going to have troops everywhere. We're not going to let this happen to our country. We're not going to let our country be torn apart like it was under Biden.
Trump's decision comes despite an objection from the state's governor, who says it's purposefully inflammatory and a breach of state sovereignty.
You're creating the conditions that you claim you're solving, and you're not. And you're putting real people's lives at risk. No ICE in LA! No ICE in LA!
Tensions have been mounting in certain LA cities as protesters seek to stop authorities from carrying out deportations. More than 100 people were arrested during immigration sweeps this past week.
It's a fight for our community. LA wouldn't be what it is without us.
Several dozen people have been arrested during the protests, with officers moving in after declaring an unlawful assembly. During the clashes, an Australian reporter was hit by a non-lethal round at close range. She later confirmed she was safe and unharmed. This morning, President Trump was asked about his defense secretary's suggestion to deploy active Marines to the region. Trump said the bar for that is whatever he thinks it is, and that it's all about law and order. Reporting live, I'm Rahim Ladani. Nathan, back to you.
All right, thank you, Rahim. We're going now to the pledge by the Prime Minister to make sure the Canadian Armed Forces are able to protect Canadians in the face of what he calls a growing and changing threat. CTV's Colton Prale joins us now with details of the announcement in Toronto this morning. Colton, what kind of increase in spending are we talking?
Yeah, Nathan, this is a massive shift in Canada's defence policy. In the campaign, Mark Carney talked about hitting the 2% of GDP NATO target by 2030, $18 billion of additional spend over 4 years' time. Today, that timeline has been flipped on its head, hitting that 2% target by the end of this fiscal year. The government says that means an extra $9.3 billion being spent on the military. Total money, we're talking about an increase of about $54 billion at the start of this year to just shy of $63 billion spent on the military. That's roughly $20 billion more than we spent last year on the armed forces. It is a dramatic shift, and that money is being spent in a variety of different places. With regards to our personnel, with regards to our equipment, we are seeing billions and billions of dollars planning to be poured out by the end of the year, and a speed of increase in spending that we had not seen any government in Canada commit to for quite some time.
I'm sure many are wondering, where's the money going to come from and what are the main goals?
Absolutely. That first question, where is the money going to come from, is the big one. And it's a question that we still don't have an answer to at this point in time. The Prime Minister holding a press conference later on this afternoon. I would expect that's going to be one of the first things that he's going to be asked. What are the goals? That we do have a little bit more information on. When he was speaking today, Mark Carney highlighted a couple of things. Investing in the foundations of our military, he called it. Really what he means is people, equipment, and civilian contractors. And to that point, that's where the largest net spend in this new increase is coming. $2.6 billion going towards giving all the personnel a pay raise, increasing the training and modernization, the recruitment programs, better health care, also more civilian contractors. That's going to be a crucial part of this as well, especially when it comes to improving Canada's procurement processes. Other goals that he talked about were strengthening the defense industry, having better partnerships with our allies, and enhancing our military capabilities. When you look into the numbers on those parts, especially with regards to the defense industrial base and our allies, that's where we're seeing about half of this total spend. Just over $4 billion is going towards not only creating a defense industrial strategy in Canada, laying the groundwork to be able to produce all of the equipment we need, but the acknowledgement that as a country, we won't be able to do that independently. And so $2 billion of that $4 billion is going to be spent towards strengthening our defense partnerships, buying military equipment from our allies. That's what that's really saying there. And we did hear from Mr. Carney today saying that he wanted to spend more of that money outside the United States. It's going to be a lot of money going out the door very quickly. That's going to be a challenge for the Canadian government. Our procurement system is quite slow with regards to defense, but military experts I've spoke to have also said just getting these dollars out the door, deciding which systems to buy, all of that is a very lengthy process, and to spend this money this quickly is going to be a significant challenge for the Prime Minister.
Absolutely. A lot of challenges ahead. CTV's Colton Prayal in Ottawa. Thank you.
Anytime.
There's been a boating tragedy on Sturgeon Lake, northwest of Peterborough. 2 men drowned after their canoe capsized Sunday afternoon. This happened around 3 in the afternoon. Police say the canoe was carrying 3 men. 1 person was able to make their way to shore. The 2 other men drowned. Officers say there were no life jackets in the canoe, and this investigation is ongoing.
And there's been a heartbreaking tragedy on the water in BC over the weekend that claimed the life of 1 child and left another in critical condition in North Vancouver. The children were tubing in North Vancouver when they were struck by a speedboat. Now, it happened Saturday evening off the shore of Cates Park in North Vancouver. Police believe speed and alcohol may have played a role in the crash. The child who died was just 11 years old.
Closing arguments have begun in the sexual assault trial of 5 former members of Canada's World Junior Hockey team. CTV's Heather Wright joins us live now. She is in London. Heather, this is a trial that began in late April. Now it's into these final stages. What's on the agenda today, and where do things stand with this very high-profile trial?
Well, Michelle, closing arguments began at around 10 o'clock this morning. David Humphrey, he's the lawyer representing Michael McLeod. He began with sort of presenting his case along with the defense's case as well for all 5 to the judge. Now, keep in mind, each defense attorney is going to have an opportunity to present their closing arguments to the judge. But David Humphrey was the first to start off. And essentially, he was telling the judge that this case comes down to reliability and credibility, really going back to the cross-examination that he had had of EM, the complainant in this case, and saying that, you know, the testimony changed, the story changed, that this is not a reliable witness. And essentially he was saying, his argument was that the complainant in this case would rather be seen as a victim rather than face the repercussions of the choices she made that night. And of course, that night is the night that took place roughly 7 years ago, when this woman went back to a hotel room with Michael McLeod, and other members of Canada's World Junior team came to that hotel room. The charges stemming from that include sexual assault, all of which these players have pleaded not guilty to. And so really, over the course of this week, we're going to hear from all of the defense attorneys, along with the Crown, who is going to submit their closing arguments. And then it will be up to the judge to render a verdict in this case. That could take days or weeks to get to that verdict. And so it's still unclear when we might know how she rules. But at this point, arguments beginning here in London, Ontario.
CTV's Heather Wright live for us in London. Thank you.
Thanks.
Well, police are asking for the public's help to identify a suspect in an assault investigation at Broadview Station. Now, police have released these images of the suspect. He's accused of assaulting a woman at Broadview Station at around 2:30 in the afternoon on Thursday. Police say the victim and suspect did not know each other. The suspect's described as being in his 50s, 6'2" with a medium build. Police are asking anybody with any information to come forward.
6 infants in Ontario have been born with congenital measles since the outbreak began last fall. Dr. Kieran Moore says the babies were infected in the womb through mothers who were not vaccinated. The infants recovered, but the province's top doctor says the infections could have been prevented. Congenital measles can result in severe complications, including inflammation of the brain and potentially death. The update comes after an infant born prematurely and infected with measles died in southwestern Ontario last week.
Now, there's a new poll out related to public health care versus private care. The survey suggests a majority of Ontarians want the province to prioritize spending on public hospitals rather than private clinics. The NANO survey found 73% of respondents.
The Canadian Medical Association Journal did an extensive study in August of last year, which showed that as a result of privatizing cataract surgeries, wealthy people in Ontario now enjoyed over 20% more access in those clinics, and the rest of us saw declining access. The poorest people in Ontario, 9% less.
The union says the recent provincial government budget restrained hospital funding while allocating $280 million for the expansion of surgeries and diagnostic tests in private clinics.
Now to the latest on wildfires in Canada. More than 200 are burning across the country, and nearly half are considered out of control. This is footage from Manitoba, where 28 fires are burning. One wildfire north of Lac du Bonnet is said to be 5 times the size of Winnipeg. CTV's Scott Hurst is following the latest developments right across the country. What is the latest, Scott? Troubling situation.
Michelle, that puts it into perspective a little bit, the sheer size of some of these wildfires, and that is just one of the more than 2 dozen, as you mentioned, burning in the province. And that province is still under a state of emergency. However, some rain did help in certain locations over the weekend. Some areas in the province got 20 to 30 millimeters of rain, but it is just a little bit to help out, and much more is needed. We still know it is a struggle for people to find places to stay, being forced from their homes. Some 2,000 evacuees from Manitoba have been sent as far as Niagara Falls to find a place to stay. And in that province and the several prairie provinces specifically, First Nations communities are being hit particularly hard during this wildfire season. In Saskatchewan, there are 24 active wildfires. Some relief in that province as well in the form of desperately needed rain. According to the Public Safety Agency of Saskatchewan, it provided a short reprieve in an update it put out yesterday, reporting minimal growth in the fires scorching a trail across the province's north from some of the rain that they got, and that allowed some evacuees to return home. However, there still are tens of thousands of people who have been forced from their homes from northwestern Ontario all the way to British Columbia, as there are more than 60 fires burning in Alberta and more than 80 fires burning in British Columbia. So it is a dire situation across many of the provinces. But but there was a little bit of reprieve over the weekend in the form of much needed rain in some of these communities, Michelle.
It seems so overwhelming, and we're not even into the hottest, the summer months. Meanwhile, we were showing a live shot of the Toronto skyline a little bit earlier. The smoke is really bringing it home for a lot of people, reminding them that these fires are happening because we've been dealing with, air quality that is not ideal. What's the latest on that?
Yeah, smoke and haze has continued to be a problem across many communities. It has dissipated a little bit through the weekend, but you can see in the skyline in the city and other places across southern Ontario, it is still providing a thin layer of haze. And of course, it isn't just a nuisance. When it comes to what you see in the sky, it can potentially be dangerous as well. So you might not be near the immediate threat of the fires, but of course the lingering threat of wildfire smoke can continue to cause problems for a lot of people, particularly those with underlying health and breathing problems.
What is the sense, Scott, from officials? I mean, you talked about rain there for the weeks and months ahead. Are they confident they can get a handle on all of this?
It is still a significant fight on their hands because the size, you mentioned the sheer size of that one wildfire, 5 times the size, the city of Winnipeg, that's burning in Manitoba. And so some of these fires that are burning in the northern parts of these provinces are massive. I did mention in Saskatchewan, it did, because of the rain situation, slow the spread, slow the growth of some of these large fires. But as you mentioned as well, it is still so early in the hot and dry season. We're just into the early stages of June, and we're not even into July, August, and September. So there is a concern, of course, as a whole picture. It'll be a devastating wildfire season because it has started off so severe, seeing this much destruction and devastation, and to see this many people forced from their homes. But there has been, at least in the short term, a little bit of a reprieve to some of these fires burning in the northern part, particularly of the prairie provinces.
Scott Hurst in the CTV National Newsroom, thank you.
Thanks, Michelle.
And we continue to track these wildfires across Canada. Online journalist Phil Hahn has put together an interactive tracker with our partners at Esri. If your region is impacted by wildfires, smoke, or air quality, you can go here and keep tabs on the area with this online tool. You'll find it at toronto.ctvnews.ca. Summer MacIntosh is back in the pool after a spectacular record-setting weekend.
She's actually picking it up as she comes to the wall. Keep your eye on the clock. 3:55, 3:8. World record again. 3:54.18. She demolished it.
How about that? The Toronto swimmer is setting another world record. This is at the Bell Canadian Swimming Trials in Victoria. She finished with a time of 3 minutes, 54 seconds in the 400-meter freestyle. MacIntosh trimmed more than a second from the previous world record and finished 13 seconds ahead of her competitors. It's the 4th time the 18-year-old set a world record. She also set the Canadian record for the 800-meter freestyle with a time of 8 minutes and 5.07 seconds. Next up for MacIntosh is the 200 medley that happens this afternoon, and then the 200-meter butterfly tomorrow. Lindsay.
Well, as mentioned a little earlier in the newscast, our air quality is improved compared to last week here in southern Ontario, but it's still not great. We're not in the clear here. We're at a 4 on the Air Quality Health Index, which means a moderate risk. So just make sure you take care if you're out and about today. We are expecting more drifting smoke this week as early as tomorrow. And then hopefully we see some improvement as we head into next weekend. Here's the thing. We are in for a bit of a cool down temperature-wise, and we have a few opportunities for active weather this week. We'll take you through the 7-day forecast after this break here on CTV News at noon.
How bad is it? All right, let's talk about the forecast. I was hoping for a lot of sunshine to start the work week. Not quite that, but at least we can say that the wildfire smoke is kind of moving through.
Well, you know what? Normally rain, you don't want it, but I feel like there's some relief with rain, right, in the smoke, and you hope that they get a lot of rain out west to kind of calm this situation. And yeah, could be better. We could have a clearer sky, but we'll take it.
And if we have to have some rain, dare I say, a Monday isn't really a bad day for it. I know probably lots of people working on their lawns and their gardens over the weekend, so a little assist from Mother Nature today. That's a good thing. We do have a risk of thunderstorms for this afternoon, and really every day this week there is a slight chance of some wet weather, but no day looks like a washout. We do have a bit of a cool down to talk about, and we'll get to that in your 7-day forecast. Weather is brought to you by the Presler Law Firm Injury Lawyers. You don't pay unless they win. It is in fact raining right now downtown Toronto, right across the GTA. In fact, we have showers now making their way into Markham and then northeast into the Uxbridge area and even as far east now as Peterborough. This is what it looks like on the radar. The system itself, for the most part, is remaining south of the border but creeping its way across the GTA and will be with us through at least the early half of the afternoon before conditions start to dry out and improve heading into the evening. But we do have a risk of thunderstorms and they could be isolated in nature, so just keep an eye on the sky. It's one of those days where you want to be weather aware. There is 1 o'clock this afternoon, so you can see especially west end of the GTA, around the Niagara Peninsula, and along the north shore of Lake Erie, still getting some of the heavier bands of rain. Niagara, in fact, right through the middle to late afternoon. Evening looks not bad, and then overnight, risk of thunderstorms mainly to the east of Georgian Bay. We'll hang on to the chance in parts of southern Ontario, but it is drier. Look at your Tuesday, a brighter day overall, mix of sun and cloud. Chance of showers, especially in the afternoon. Again, you'll notice how isolated those are. Into Wednesday, looks like a pretty pleasant start too. And Wednesday, we're going to tap into a little bit of heat. It's just not going to last. Let's talk temperatures. 19 degrees right now in Toronto, so we've now cooled down a degree with the arrival of that wet weather. It is 21 degrees in Windsor, it's 20 in Muskoka, and 16 in the Ottawa Valley. Here's a look at today's highs. So we've already reached 20. It's likely that we will climb back up there this afternoon. And a little more in the way of some mugginess too, feeling like the mid-20s. I do want to remind you that our seasonal norm is now about 23 degrees. So technically today we are cooler or below average. Our sunset time tonight is going to be just before 9 p.m. So those days continue to get longer as we inch closer to the summer solstice. There's your evening sports forecast. 15 for the low tonight and then 22 our forecast daytime high for tomorrow. Up around 26 degrees for Wednesday. There's the cool down heading into the weekend, only 17 degrees for Saturday. But look at Sunday. So far, so good. Mix of sun and cloud for Father's Day. That's the weather. Michelle, I'll send it over to you.
Thanks, Lindsay. Coming up after the break, honoring the best in theater, the big winners from the stage still ahead. A new kind of technology made right here in Canada is giving kids with disabilities a chance to walk on their own for the first time. And this robotic walker is changing lives.
But the biggest barrier is price. CTV's Camille Karamali on hopes of making it widely accessible for all.
We see a couple of kangaroos.
This tour of the Toronto Zoo isn't about them or them. It's about them. 9 families, all with kids, who have different disabilities, able to walk up to the animals on their own for the first time ever. Thanks to these robotic walkers, also known as exoskeletons.
The battery pack, and it connects to the robotic legs.
With a computer system and battery pack connected to several motors and a remote control tablet.
All right, buddy, let's go.
Created by a Canadian company, Trexo, based out of Mississauga, Ontario.
There's nothing like this for kids in Canada. It's one of the first devices in the world, in fact.
One of the biggest barriers for families continues to be price, with one of these devices costing a minimum of $40,000. Angela Bowen and her son Roberto have had their robotic walker for 3 years and are still paying it off.
That would be great, can be funded by the government.
This is my son Mitchell.
Parents like Mark Robert, who also now works for the company, are pushing for government subsidies.
It should be governments that are paying for this for their kids as a way to support them.
Why do you think it's not subsidized yet? Is the technology
Because
too new?
it's just too novel, too new.
New, but already selling around 400 of these devices across Canada and now expanding to Hong Kong to several special needs schools.
We actually found it very easy to locate so many target users in one place.
And while the technology continues to advance,
we've been basically perfecting the product over the last 5 years.
It's giving these kids a chance to experience something we might all take for granted.
Just having a little bit of normality in our abnormal world.
One step at a time. Kamel Karamali, CTV News, Toronto.
The 78th annual Tony Awards return to New York City's City Music Hall, honoring the best in live theater.
After Broadway's most successful year ever, earning $1.85 billion, it was time to celebrate. CTV's Andrea Case has a recap of the show.
I am not throwing away my shot.
10 years ago, one show changed Broadway, making it more inclusive and current. That show was Hamilton. It won 11 awards in 2016. The original cast returned to the Tony stage with a show-stopping medley. But last night, the big winner was Maybe Happy Ending. The musical about two retired helper bots who find love. The show won 6 awards, including Best Musical and Best Actor in a Leading Role in a Musical for Golden Globe and Emmy winner Darren Criss.
And I'm gonna go celebrate with my favorite kind of people to party with, theater people! And the only heart I own for you and you alone.
Fellow nominee Jonathan Groff took Broadway-bound Keanu Reeves by surprise as he belted out a tune from his Bobby Darin biopic, Just in Time.
And a love who's burning alive.
Another surprise, 6-time Tony winner Audra McDonald gave her all as she performed Rose's Turn from Gypsy. But it wasn't her turn last night.
We touch the world.
The award for Best Leading Actress in a Musical went to former Pussycat doll Nicole Scherzinger for Sunset Boulevard.
So if there's anyone out there who feels like they don't belong or your time hasn't come, don't give up. This is a testament that love always wins.
The Tonys were hosted and co-produced by Cynthia Erivo, who won a Tony Award for Best Actress in a Musical for The Color Purple in 2016. She had a novel ending to the show, reworking the lyrics to the Dreamgirls hit, I Am Telling You. Andrea Case, CTV News.
Wow. Boy, can they sing. All right, it is Monday, and that means it is time for Chronically Online, our start of the week segment with Sam East, host with 99.9 Virgin Radio. Sam, let's talk about the Tonys. Wow, those performances. This might be the first time in recent history that people have had this much reaction to the award show.
Yeah, this has been all over my TikTok feed, Michelle. Tonys. Cynthia Erivo absolutely killing it. I mean, when you have a show that's about plays and Broadway and musicals, you are sure to be entertained. But with, shows like Wicked, movies like Wicked that are now fully into the mainstream with the movie that came out, it takes on a whole new kind of appetite. Cynthia Erivo killed it. She sang song after song. As you saw, Nicole Scherzinger, was one of the main winners of the night. But there is a moment as well that's getting a lot of attention online, and it's paying homage to something that happened on the Oprah Winfrey Show over 20 years ago. Have a look.
Check under your chair.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Grab it. That's right. Yeah. Go. Have a look. Go.
Oh my.
Thank you. But what's the other thing? What's that other thing in there? You get a car.
Yeah, if you know, you know. From over 20 years ago, Oprah Winfrey had that moment that has stood the test of time where she gave everyone in the audience a car, and Cynthia said she had been waiting all night to pull off that moment, and she did.
Oh, it's so fun. You get a car. Now finally Oprah's got a car. I'm sure she has quite a few at home. But yeah, anything with Oprah, I love it. Oh my goodness, that looked like a lot of fun. Let's talk about something else. The temperatures, they've been a bit all over the place lately, Sam, and Toronto declared its unofficial start to the summer this weekend. Tell us more.
Yes, Due West Fest, which a lot of people say this is the start, regardless of the temperature, although it came through for us on Saturday for sure. Due West Fest, about 1 million people were packing Dundas West from Shaw to Lansdowne. Hundreds of vendors, local vendors, food, music, people dancing in the streets. It feels like this has been a long time coming, and a lot of people say that this is their absolute favorite festival. Somebody on Reddit said, this is definitely the best street festival in the city. It lacks the over-commercialization of other street fests, and people are saying they hope that it stays this way for a long time to come. But the other part of such a popular festival, street festival, is the likelihood of you running into somebody that you know. And in my TikTok feeds, that seems to be the main thing that's been showing. You go to Do West Fest, you run into an ex-boyfriend, your boss, somebody you had a falling out with. And honestly, online, that seems to be the common sentiment. You ran into everyone and anyone at this street festival in Toronto.
Oh, well, it happens. That's life. And nice
Yes.
that you're getting. Do you have a favorite street festival?
Honestly, this might be up there. Ozfest as well. That's a little later on in the summer. Really good vibe, and it just shows kind of what Toronto's all about. This is what we wait for all year long. I gotta say, I went to Ozfest on Saturday. I had a great time, probably because I did not run into any ex-boyfriends.
Oh my, yeah, right. I know it happens, right? Or the day that you decide not to put on makeup and just run out. That's when you see the ex-boyfriend that broke your heart, that sort of thing. But oh well, you know what? It gave that gal some good content to post, right? And we're talking about it. Sammy, it's great to have you on. Happy Monday. Enjoy the rest of your week. And I'll tell everyone at home you can hear her on 99.9 Virgin Radio every weekday between 2 and 5 p.m. Take care.
Thank you, Michelle.
Get Toronto's top stories, breaking news alerts, and watch live. Download the CTV News app.
To Scarborough now, and a special art exhibit. CTV's Jessica Smith is live at the Cedar Ridge Creative Center on Confederation Drive. Jessica.
Well, Nathan, it's called Art on the Brain, and a really, really cool exhibit by people who are living with different variations of brain injuries. And I want to start with Candace. You're here to talk about kind of what this exhibit is, because I've walked around the entire thing, and some of the work here is beautiful, but it really makes you stop and think.
Yeah, this is the BIST Art on the Brain annual art exhibit. We feature over 50 artists who live with the effects of brain injury, and you'll see all different kinds of work that really express their journey through brain injury and their growth and resilience.
And I want to introduce everybody to one of the artists. James, your work is so, so beautiful. I was kind of taking a moment just to really stop and think about it. What inspired you to create the different pieces, and how has the experience been?
So, both of these pieces, they are based around my ABI and my experiences after my brain injury, and trying to be, optimistic and positive, but also have like an underlying meaning for the viewer to kind of get a glimpse or to get a sense of my experiences living with an ABI.
The pieces are all so unique and so different. And Candace, I want to ask you about what it was like working with the group and having all these different artists come through, because it really is a great way to express how you're going through what can be a fairly traumatic situation, depending on how the injury happened.
Well, it was, as you can see, there's so many different artists, and ABI can vary very, very largely for people, the effects of it, how they acquire their brain injury. So that's really reflected in a lot of the pieces. We have amazing members, and we have actually one group installation called Come Fly With Me, where we have our members create little birds that is a symbol of their journey through brain injury. So that was a really neat part of the installation as well.
And James, for other people who are thinking of getting involved in something like this, to be able to express themselves and really kind of work their way through the process, what would you say to them? Maybe if they're a little nervous or they think, I'm not necessarily an artist, but I really want to express myself in some kind of way.
I would say, not to cut yourself short. I was once in that position where I was questioning, should I pursue art? But I noticed that was like a common theme throughout my rehabilitation, throughout my therapy, was art was always there. So from a very young age, after my ABI, I knew like it was set in stone. I wanted to pursue art. So I would say to anybody else, if you have the instant thought or feeling, you should just go with that. And for me, it's not something that came easy. It obviously took a lot of work and practice. And also, I can't tell you how many times I've been told, James, you're so good, but, I wish I could draw a stick person, or I wish I could draw, something. So it just takes time and practice and passion. So that's what you have to have.
You had me at passion. Well, thank you guys both so much. The exhibit will be here until the 18th. You can visit bist.ca for more information. I'm going to send things back into the studio.
All right. Thank you, Jess. Well, time now for a weekly chat with CTV's science and tech specialist, Dan Riskin. And Dan, getting older brings experience and wisdom, but it can also bring some challenges. A new study shows a link between cognitive function and a sense of well-being. And I see you're repping the Oilers. Is that keeping your mind sharp?
Yeah, that's exactly the whole point. I looked at this study and said, if you have a sense of purpose, you're going to be better cognitively. And listen, my brain is my job, so I had to do everything I could. So that's why I'm cheering for the Oilers, of course. I'm actually reporting to you from Edmonton. I had the good fortune of going to Game 2, so it's been really exciting here, and I've lost my voice from screaming at that game. But I'm still happy to tell you about this really cool study, which basically tracked a bunch of people over the age of 65 over 10 years, checked in with them every year, had them do cognitive tests, and also asked them about their quality of life. How happy are you generally? Do you have a sense of purpose? Do you feel autonomous? And the one thing that really fell out of that was that sense of purpose. When a person over the age of 65 feels like they have a reason that they're out there, a thing that they need to do, a job in the world, it helps keep their cognition stronger longer. But the inverse is also true. A person who has better cognition is more likely to have a sense of purpose. So those two things are very tightly connected, more so than other aspects of quality of life. And so that's, I think, a study that everybody can take to heart, even those of us under the age of 65.
Yeah, it's so important to have purpose. So we know your expertise is bats and how important they are to the ecosystem. Well, apparently there's a disease that's killing them across North America called white noise syndrome. What's that about?
Yeah, white nose syndrome. So it's a fungus that grows on them when they're in the cave, and it just appeared in 2016, and we didn't know where it had come from. And there's been a ton of work ever since, and it turns out to be a fungus that occurs in the wild in Europe and Asia and has no bad effects on the bats. But here you can see that white stuff around the nose. That's this fungus growing on the bats, and it kills them. It's been wiping out bats in North America. A new study has figured out where in Europe or Asia that fungus probably came from, because across Europe, there's tons of genetic diversity in this fungus, whereas all of the fungi that live in North America that have been spreading in these bats are all identical clones. It looks like one singular event. And so we now know that they probably came from Ukraine, and it was probably a caver who had something, some fungus on their clothes or something like that went to a cave in Ukraine and then came and went to a cave in upstate New York and spread it here. So just more information about how this fungus got here, and hopefully another step towards figuring out how to fight it.
Yeah, that's the important thing. And finally, a new invention that seems straight out of the movie Mission Impossible, contact lenses that let you see infrared light. How does that work?
Yeah, without using a battery. So it's a very simple device. You put it on your eye, and it's got nanoparticles in it. And when the nanoparticles receive infrared light, if you shine an infrared light on it, they will light up with visible light. And so if you're wearing one of these contact lenses and somebody shines an infrared light on you, a light that's totally invisible to everybody else will cause your contact lenses to light up, and you will see light. And so you can't use it to walk around in the dark and not bump into things, but it's a very cool technology, maybe for spies who need to send secret codes to each other, or for other purposes that the people are going to come up with for it. But it's really cool stuff.
All right, always enlightening. CTV Science and Tech Specialist Dan Riskin, thank you. Take care.
Thanks a lot. Go Oilers tonight.
Exactly, hopefully. Well, the Stanley Cup Finals shift to Florida tonight for Game 3 after the Oilers and Panthers split the first two. The Oilers are coming off a 5-4 double overtime loss Friday and look to take the momentum back.
Both games have been obviously very tight, gone the distance and extra. So, yeah, two really good teams going at it. Obviously have to, stay detailed and know that all those little bounces matter.
The first two games of the final both went to overtime. The Oilers may be without one of their most productive forwards. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins missed yesterday's practice because of an undisclosed injury. Tonight's game starts at 6 p.m. Mountain Time, 8 o'clock our time.
Coming up, Luminado is back in Toronto for another year. We've got a preview in moments. Stay with us.
Toronto's Luminado Festival is back for another year, celebrating the diverse art scene in the city. The theme of this year's festival is Day, Night, exploring how people spend 24 hours a day in the city. It features immersive, family-friendly, and free public art from over 1,000 artists from Canada and around the world. Luminado Festival runs until June 22nd. And you can find more information about the festival at luminadofestival.com. Always fun.
Well, it feels like it's night. We're not getting much daylight today. Very gloomy. And then we've also got a bit of the smoke, too, going on out there.
Yes, and rain in many areas. We're going to take one more look at the satellite and radar imagery. I do want to point out that it's mainly communities close to the shore of Lake Ontario, as opposed to areas further north. Getting into the wet weather today, there it is. Risk of thunderstorm through this afternoon, so that's worth mentioning, too. Overnight tonight, partly cloudy skies and a low near 15 degrees. Into tomorrow, a mix of sun and cloud in the forecast, but I do think there's going to be a bit of haze out there once again. Seasonal high of 22. We're going to warm up for Wednesday a little further, but then look at the cool down heading into the weekend. Showers and only 17 on Saturday. Nathan and Michelle.
All right, thank you, Lindsay. And that's CTV News at noon. Remember, you can get Toronto's breaking news all day long on CP24 and at ctvnewstoronto.ca.
For Lindsay Morrison and the whole team here, have a pleasant afternoon. I'm Michelle Dubé.
And I'm Nathan Downer. Be sure to join us later for CTV News at 5 and 6. Have a great afternoon.